being a born loser, becoming who I am today.
They don't know me, son.
Get it. 18.
They don't know me, son.
Get it. 19.
They don't know me, son.
Yeah, fuck yeah, motherfucker, yeah. Hard times. It's all about your mind takes control of you. You have to say, fuck you, I run this motherfucker. And that's what that's all about. But it's important more to stay humble within that hunger.
Yeah. 20, you got some more in you. 21, yeah, get it again.
Who's gonna carry the boats and the logs?
And this is where people lose. You need the Elon Musks. You need the David Goggins. I ask myself one question: can I take one more step? And usually the answer is, I'm dumb, I'm nobody. And you realize through hard work, you can outwork anybody, no matter how badass they are. I realize this. This is the world that is in front of me. And what most people do is they see this world and they look at it as an excuse to get out of it. The most important conversation you'll ever have with your life, in your life, is when you have yourself. And most of us, we live in a box. And we don't want to go outside that box at all, ever. Outside that box is all these possibilities of life. But what we do is we shackle our mind. We are a prisoner in our own mind that this is all I can do. This is all I'm good at. And we take away the possibilities of you could be this, you could be that, you could be all these things. And I never thought at 300 pounds I could be Navy SEAL.
Wow.
So if my mind was shackled, me and you would never meet. Work out first. We are always looking for, like whenever I talk to people, people take my words and they put it in a way to where they want to feel comfortable. This guy, they want to put you in a box. They want to put a title on you. No, you're putting a title on me to make yourself feel better about yourself. If you read this book of mine and you see where I came from, this person was not built. This person was not made by God. This person was built. I made this person. I made this person by diving into the insecurities that life gave me. Because now they're yours. They're yours to own. If you're not smart, call yourself dumb. It's okay, because you are. But take that not as you putting yourself down. If you're fat, call yourself fat. I used to be 300 pounds. We want to talk so soft to ourselves. We're looking for that recovery day. And that recovery day is everything in your life. Everything in your life is a recovery day. We're looking for it. It's not coming. It's not coming. I'm always looking for more. I'm always looking for what's the next thing for myself. How can I grow? And that right there was the next thing for me. I didn't want to sit back and, just enjoy my retirement from the military. There's no growth in that. So I decided to go out and do this. I'm not going back. And I went back. I'm not going back. And I went back. I'm not going back. And I went back. It showed me even more of what we have as humans. You don't just wake up and just rocky the shit. You gotta wake up and think about, there's a process to getting better. And that process is never finished. I'm out there running, working out, and just trying to find out more of what this is all about. Trying to find out more of what I'm all about. So that takes me getting away. I'm about action. And action means less talking and more doing. So that's where I've been. For me, the whole money part of it, it's not what it's about. I'm all about that growth, and that growth isn't in these massive paychecks for speaking to corporations, stuff like that. The growth for me is in that $12 to $15 an hour when you're out there and it's like 20 degrees and you're freezing your ass off and you're thinking, you know what? I don't need to be here anymore. And you start questioning yourself why you're here. And there's a lot of growth in that. I believe everybody should live their life. So everything that someone says in life, take it with a grain of salt. Take what they give and don't be like, oh, David Goggins said this or whoever said this. No, do not take what I say and do exactly what I say. So for me, what makes me who I am, because my mission is very different than yours or anybody else's, I have to go into a situation where, okay, I'm a guy who wants to make people better. for people to get better, I have to continuously get better myself. For me to do that, I can't just say, oh, I have this resume, the resume is there forever, I'm good. I have to cap my success, because for me to help people out, I can't just say I did it once and I'm good. I have to continue to reinvent the wheel of the mind and figure out more and more ways for you to pull. Because if I have a cookie cutter message, it may hit 5 people out of 25. You just failed. My message needs to be in a way where I can hit all 25 people. It needs to be broad enough to where all 25 people may not like the message, but they're getting something from it. And that is evolution. You must continue to evolve. And you don't evolve, for me, in my job, unless I cap myself somewhere and say, okay, you made this much money, get back to fucking work. It's time to get back to work. Stop hearing yourself talk. Get off the podcast. Don't be on social media too much. Cut out all the fucking noise. Get back to the fucking mental lab, because that's where the knowledge came from. All the knowledge for myself comes from that place. It doesn't come from the place of success. My knowledge does not come from the place of, because for me, like, I built Goggins from the ground up. I was born David Goggins. David Goggins wasn't good enough. He was a scared, bullied, abused kid who struggled in life. And that kid, whenever something got tough, no matter how hard I trained, no matter how ready I was, whenever something got tough for me, David Goggins, the real David Goggins, would come out and he would quit. So I realized this over a period of time. So I had to build Goggins. And in that process, I had to go back to that mental lab. And that mental lab is at scratch. That mental lab is in that trained humility. And so that's where I get better. I get better when I'm digging holes in the ground, when I'm waking up early knowing I don't have to do these things. That's where I get better.
So it's important to stay hungry.
It's important to stay hungry, but it's important more to stay humble within that hunger. So while you're hungry, a lot of people are hungry, but humility is everything. You know, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I understand that guy. I understand exactly where you're coming from. That is your personal opinion, and I totally get that. But there's very few people in this world who want to do a job like that. And it takes a different kind of mindset. Is it tear grass appropriate? I don't know. How hard that training is, I don't expect anybody to understand it, but 1%. But the loud voices of this world are the 99% who don't understand exactly what you have to do. That's why when I speak and you don't understand me, it's probably a good thing. Because that probably means I'm in an area of life that you're not in, which is fine. That's why I don't judge people. And this guy right here judging that, unless you've been there and done that, and you really can't speak about it unless you're in those situations that are so hard that takes a special human being to get through them. And that's why I don't try to convince people otherwise. I understand that why you're confused. I understand why you say things like that. I'm not saying anything bad about that. I understand it. But also, what you don't understand, what you fail to understand, is the other side, that you need people like that. You need the Elon Musks. You need the David Goggins. You need some of these Navy SEALs, some of these other people. You need those people. And they forget that. And it takes a very, very unique person and unique mind to do some of these jobs that are necessary in this world. Even some of the most trained people in the world fall back on that. It's easy to talk about. Like I said, when you go through it once, it's a perishable skill. Hardness, mental hardening, mental toughness, it's a perishable skill. Just because you went through some training once and you got through it doesn't mean it lasts fucking forever. And that's where most people hated me in my life, because I realized that. You don't just say, oh, I got it, I'm checked off, I'm good for the rest of my life. That's why you have recall. You recoil on fucking everything. And you definitely must recoil when it comes to the mind. That is one of the biggest requalifications you must have. And when you're at that level, you got to recoil every fucking day, not once a year. I hadn't run a 100-mile race, and I think it was about 6 years. I had, some heart surgeries. I had maybe some questioning in my mind about, I call it part-time savage. I started kind of going through this. I started getting, a little bit injuries, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Things that back in the day never slowed me down. So when I got my head out of my ass and realized that, hey, we have more left, we can still push harder, we're not there yet. I realized, talking to a guy named Cameron Haynes, who did this race, 240-mile race. And I go, is this the new level? Is this the new push? So when I decided to do that race, it was in the back of my mind like, man, I've really become an expert at running 100-mile races. So for me, this was the new level, the 200-plus mile race. And what was so amazing about that, as you probably read in the book, I had a hard time the first time doing it. I came back and did better, but what's amazing about the human mind is that it becomes your new norm. Like, to think that I can run 200 miles, 240 miles, and that becomes like running 50. I never thought that was possible. This is why I'm always pushing that limit, because I know that within pushing these limits, there's always more. So I end up doing almost like back-to-back 200-mile runs. When the 200-mile race, 240-mile race was hard at once, it became something that was very easy after I figured it out. So that's why that happened. So the crazy thing about that, and that's God. So I got lost the first time. I got seriously sick, was off course. So basically, I bed down about 12 hours. Then I got back in the race. So I was still part of the official race now.
Okay.
So the first time I got lost, I got sick, got lost, got back in the race after 12 hours of being out of the race. So now I get to about 200 and some odd miles, and I'm sick as hell. Can't breathe, high altitude pulmonary edema, totally jacked up. And now the doctor tells me, if you get off course now and you go to the doctor, you won't be able to come back and finish the race. So I had to make a call. Like, what, I'm pretty messed up, got off. So this is where you're talking about. I'm literally laying in bed and I'm feeling better. And I thought, honestly, I swear to God, I thought that someone was speaking to me. I thought it was Jennifer. It was like, you're not done yet, motherfucker. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? It was actually probably my subconscious saying, get your ass back out there. So I wake Jennifer up. I'm like, hey, how much time do we have until the cutoff? I know that I'm already, DNF'd. So no matter what happens here, I'm not going to be an official finisher of this race.
This isn't for glory.
No. This is now for the fact that you can. So either you can sit here and not and think about that for a whole year until you come back here and do this, or you can go out there for yourself and take some kind of pride in knowing that you could and you did. So basically, I wake her up, how much time left? She goes something like, and half my crew had left, and there's 2 people there. I woke them up, they were getting ready to get on a plane. I said, look, can you guys help me out? I have 40 miles to go. I'm gonna have Jennifer drop me back off at the spot where I left. Then I'm gonna finish this fucking race. And I couldn't cross the finish line because I wasn't an official finisher. So I ended up finishing on a road by a telephone pole, and that was my official finish. It ended up being like 255 miles. But it's one of the best races of all time because we're going through it fast. But all the fucking times that I was like, I'm not going back. And I went back. I'm not going back. And I went back. I'm not going back. And I went back. It showed me even more of what we have as humans, if we're willing to go there and we're willing to push that extra step. And like I say, I always tell people, a lot of people, man, how do you do what you do? At the end of the day, I ask myself one question: can I take one more step? And usually the answer is yes. So if you can answer that question and not take another step, that is real failure. That is real quitting. So a lot of people can take one more step, but they choose not to. I don't know if you can take 2 steps. You got to answer that question after you take the first step. But I can always take one more step. So if I choose not to, that's on me. I got to live with that. So the 1 second decision is, I had to live through that 1 second decision several times during this race. So this race took me 100 and some hours, okay? And this is what people don't get. For you to finish that race, even though I DNF'd, I still finished in the time. So there's a lot of pride in that. If you're 100 and some odd hours, let me use Hell Week. This is a perfect example. Hell Week's 130 hours. And 130 hours is a lot of seconds. A lot of fucking seconds. And if you lose, let's say you win every second but one, you lost. It only takes 1 second for you to lose the whole thing. So the 1 second decision is just that. You're in a situation where life is sucking. Let's say you're in extreme cold water and your life is flashing before your eyes. Every time that wave goes over your head, your thought process is, I gotta get the fuck out of this water. And you're in Hell Week. And you're hour 1 of 130 fucking hours. It's all fun and games, okay? Because at the beginning of Hell Week, the guns are going off. It's like a pep rally. So you're fucking hyped up. And your boys are linked arms and you're getting sprayed. And it's like a fucking pep rally. The instructors are yelling at you. Bombs are going off. Concussion grenades. Blanks from N60s. Yeah, hoo-yah. Fuck yeah, yeah, motherfucker, yeah. But then what they do is they shut that shit off. They shut it off. All that hoo-yah, all that hype gets real quiet. And they march you out to that surf zone for something called surf torture. And it's that water, that Pacific Ocean is cold as shit. So no more pep rally. You're now in your head. You're linked arms with, your brothers beside you. You don't know if they're gonna be there long or not. You don't care. You think about yourself. You lay back, and that first wave hits you. Your mind goes straight from hour 2 all the way to hour 130. You can't process 5 days of this shit. You're now in a fuck you, like I gotta get out of here. You're in fight or flight. It's cold, I can't be cold this long. And then this is where that 1 second decision comes in. You forgot every reason why you wanted to be there. You don't care about SEALs. You don't care about any of this shit. You don't care about fighting for your country. You don't care about that gaudy gold trident that they put on your chest. You don't care about any of that shit no more. All you want to do is go back home. You want the warmth. You may want something to eat. You want your girl to hold you. All those things of comfort are there in that 1 second. And this is where people lose. So what I do in that 1 second, because we all think about quitting when shit's hard. But what you have to do in that 1 second is hard to process information during pain. Because that pain takes over and you can't think rationally. You're thinking about fight or flight, save yourself. That's not a rational thought. It's not a thought that's gonna get you through hard times. Most people fail that 1 second. So what happens, what I do in that 1 second, and there's a bigger process to all this, but in that 1 second, I physically stayed in that water. Because if I get out of the water, I quit. So I physically stay in the water, but mentally, I'm on the fucking beach with the fucking instructors. And the instructors, it's cold outside, so they got these parkers on. They got their cup of fucking Joe, and they're warm because they've already been through it. So now it's your turn to go through it. So mentally, I get back with them. I'm still in the water physically, but mentally, I'm back with them. I'm chilling. I got my parker on, and now I'm thinking logically because I'm warm now. Mentally, I'm warm. I'm taking that 1 second. Let's not quit yet, Goggins. Let's fucking think about your options. Where are you going to end up if you quit this shit? Where are you going to go? What are you going to say to yourself? Because you know you're going to get warm. The second you get out of this water, you're going to take a shower, and you're going to be warm. And in 5 days, you could be out. So I start thinking logically. I calm my brain down because your brain just wants to get the fuck out. Ring the bell, push your hammer down, get warm, and then you're really fucked. And these are the things you have to think about the 1 second decision. So that's what that's all about. It's about gaining control of your mind, putting things back in the proper perspective, and then saying, I really do want to be here. And I'm going to have a bunch of these 1 seconds through this 130-hour journey. And I have to learn to control these, because if I fail one of these 1 seconds, I will not be a SEAL. I will not be a doctor. I will not be a lawyer. I will not be whatever the fuck it is. So that's how important that 1 second decision is. It's all about your mind takes control of you. You have to say, fuck you. I run this motherfucker. And that's what that's all about. Get over that recovery day. And that's the mentality I took with me. And what happened through that process was all the frivolous things of life started to float away. I used to tell people lies so they would like me. Because I was so insecure. When you start to build yourself up and start to have the one thing that we don't have is confidence.
Yep.
Real, authentic confidence from hard work. Everything else goes away. You no longer look to other people for your self-esteem.
Validation.
That's right.
Yeah.
You now know. I walk in a room now and I know the hours and years and decades I put into David Goggins. That's something, it's not on the wall. It's not a trophy on the wall. It's not a medal around your neck. It is actually a feeling in your heart. And people go, why don't you ever smile? I don't have to. Yeah, I do have a stoic look on my face. I'm a very focused person. But the feeling I have in my soul and in my heart, that's why I don't need to smile. I don't need to smile. I don't need you to look at me and say, oh my God, you look happy. Because half of us aren't happy. We're giving you something that we think you want to see. I don't do that anymore. I don't care how you perceive David Goggins. Because through my journey, I figured out the one piece I was missing. I thought it was cars. I thought it was women. I thought it was money. I thought it was everything. The one piece I was missing was me having the courage to face myself. And once you do that on a daily basis, it's not about the running. People's going to be about working out. Where I got my work ethic from was the hours I had to spend learning this. When you sit down and you're not smart, and you have a disability, and you still want to be at the top of your class, I didn't want to just get by. When I realized that I can learn through hard work, and I can beat the valedictorian in the school, but I got put in 10 hours more a day than he does. You know what kind of strength comes from that? When you're sitting down, that guy that valedictorian studied for an hour, and you know I caught you, and I am dumb. But I have the work ethic to catch you. That's where David Goggins got really invented.
Yeah.
Was at a kitchen table with 20 spiral notebooks that were empty. And then 3 months later, they were full. And when you can go through that, I still have them in my storage unit. You go through these spiral notebooks of your life, and you realize this is how I learned. This is unbelievable. There's no miles. It's not about the miles. It's that, having a discipline every day to say, for me to learn this one math problem, it's going to take me 10 hours.
Wow.
And that's where and you realize through hard work, you can outwork anybody, no matter how badass they are. But that's the part people don't want to dive into.
Yeah.
You got to start diving into those things that you are afraid of. You don't gain confidence by going to a spot that makes you feel good. It's going to be a false reality. And the second life gives you that challenge, all you want to do is go back to what made you confidence or what gave you confidence. Is that happy spot? No. What gives you confidence, what gave me confidence, was spending years at a kitchen table trying to learn how to read and write on my own. Realizing I can't learn the way you learn. I can't. But I can learn. What gives you confidence, not being afraid, is overcoming the fear. I used to stutter severely bad. So right now, I don't know how many people are going to watch this. You know what gives me confidence? Is knowing I no longer care if I sit and start stuttering to you.
Yeah.
That's what gives me confidence, is facing these things, overcoming them. And maybe not overcoming them every day, but facing them. And facing them and facing them. Pretty soon like this, you know what, man, this is where it's at. It's not in that comfort zone. It's in the discomfort zone is where my confidence is getting built. That's where it's getting built. But people want to They want an easier answer.
Yeah.
There has to be an easier way. There's not. I'm sorry. I searched for it my entire life.
You cheated,
I did.
You lied.
I lied. I did everything. And I still felt empty. I coach a lot of people nowadays, billionaires, who call me on the phone and say, man, I'm still missing something. It's because they did what they were good at. And they have this beautiful family, 2-3 houses, cars, everything. Has everything in the world. On the outside looking in, like, my God, man, how can you be unhappy? I walk around with the backpack with all my stuff in it, and no car.
Right.
And I walk around, happiest person in the world. Have nothing. Happy as hell. It's because I found out the whole key to life. It's not in all that. You have to face yourself. So many people live to be 100 years old, and they die miserable, having everything, because they never examined. I call it my live autopsy. You never examine this. Happiness, peace, enlightenment, it's all up here, man. It's all up here. And when I start talking like this, people are, man, you know, no. It's the truth, man.
Yeah, it is true.
It's all up here. You just got to be willing to go and face it. And that's the hard part. In that moment when my whole life changed, I went from a guy who worked out every day, trained every day, to a guy who couldn't get out of bed. My life was taken from me. The one thing that kept me going was my training.
Now you didn't have that.
I didn't have anything.
Now you just had to sit alone. And not train.
And that's what changed me. And that's when I realized I hadn't taken time to think about what I'd done in my life.
You hadn't reflected yet.
I hadn't reflected. I'd done all these things, but there was no finish line. I still believe that, but you must have time to reflect.
Yeah.
I was just going. I finished a race of life, and I wouldn't even receive my medal. I'd go on.
You're like, on to the next.
I get in the car and I go.
You wouldn't even take the medal.
Gone. Don't care about it.
I'm not going to waste an hour sitting around for this ceremony.
Most people sit around, and that's what they like. They need the ceremony if I accomplished something.
The validation.
I haven't done anything. Let's go. I'm
just getting started.
I'm just getting started. That's right. I mean, I suffer from severe toxic stress. And that was one of the big reasons why I started, I had a learning disability. My focus in life was way off. I was afraid. I was afraid of everything. And when you have that kind of foundation growing up, and that's where you start life at, is being beat, being abused, and also working all night at a skating rink, not going to school, and you have a guy who's an alcoholic, and the second he got drunk, he got mad. And so our house lived in fear.
Yeah.
And the one thing that you can't ever get out of a kid's mind is your mom's mind, like your mom's face.
The terror
of your mom's face.
Worst.
So, I didn't care about my brother. I didn't care about me. But I saw this woman go from Mary Poppins, the sweetest person on the planet Earth. And when you see your mom start to transform to a shell, to a person whose face becomes stoic, a person who has no emotion, and that changes a kid.
Yeah. And
when you're young and you have to grow up so fast, so by 8 years old, my mind was of a 40-year-old's at 8. My family, life came at me, and it makes your brain, you're not outside playing with kids. You're trying to avoid getting beat.
Yeah.
You're avoiding all these things.
Yeah.
My biggest fear in life is if there is a final resting place in this world, and there's a final judgment, and you talk to something much bigger than you. I don't want to sit down and have a conversation with someone with something that says, you're in heaven, this is what you should have been on earth. And are you really in heaven now, or are you in hell? Thinking about how much I left on the table for fear, for not willing to go over the wall, and over the next wall, and over the next wall. So in my mind, I believe that. And God knows all. At least I believe that. I want God to be up there right now as we're speaking, writing stuff down, saying, my God, he exceeded even my expectations. Wow. That's how I live my life. I now know that there is no cap on the human mind. There's no cap. recapping ourselves. It comes from a dark place, an insecure, dark place. A good human being doesn't need to break anyone down. All they do is want to build you up. When you get to where you want to go in life, you finally get there, you finally reach that point, and you're there, and you're happy as hell. Realize this, because that's where I gained my strength. I gained my strength from a place of quiet. And the more I got my story out there, the more I realized it no longer be David Goggins, the quiet man. It'd be David Goggins, the guy that's on Instagram answering this, answering that, because I'm also a guy that's always about, if someone reaches out to me, I'm not going to sit back and say, oh, you know, whatever. I'm going to reach back to you. So it's going to take time out of me trying to gain strength and me trying to get ready to go. So that was a big deterrent for me to get on Instagram and all that stuff. I'm not big on social media anyway. But then I realized that I have God put me in a very interesting spot of life where He made hell my teacher. He made hell my teacher. And a lot of people don't understand that. So I'm trying to give people a different thought process of life where failure, hell, disappointment, discomfort is a great learning tool. And many people don't understand that. And a lot of people won't even understand this interview when we get done with it. When I started figuring out life, that I was leaving so much in the tank, I call it my 40% rule. I was leaving so much in the tank. Once I realized, my God, man, I was this dumb, fat kid being bullied. And now I'm a 180-pound person, lost 106 pounds in less than 3 months. Learn to read, learn to do this, learn to do that. I was like, I need more. I was fueling my mind with everything. And I never took time to say, my God, you came from this hell and you're here. So those insecurities, we were training bigger, stronger, faster quitters. It's not about...
Not the mind.
That's right. We weren't diving into the sewer. Everybody's got a story. We don't share it on social media. We share our nice life on social media. We all have a dungeon. I'm just willing to talk about mine. Most of us aren't willing to talk about it. I'm willing to talk about my dungeon. I wasn't getting into the dungeon of these guys' minds. I wasn't building that so-called mental toughness. Mental toughness isn't something that you sample. It's something that you live in every day. So when something hard would happen to these kids, like in Hell Week, it would draw on something that made them very insecure. And they look for comfort. Whenever hardness comes, and you don't know what it is, it may be different for you than it is for me, but you go back to your insecurities. And then when you go back to your insecurities, you then look for comfort within those insecurities. And we all look for that cookie that your mom used to give you when you were sad, when you were sick. We look for our wife or our husband. We look for comfort. It's in those moments you must retrain your mind to think differently in hell. I wasn't training them to do that.
Why weren't you training?
I wasn't training myself to that because at that time, I was doing what I was told. These guys needed to meet a standard.
Physical standard.
A physical standard. The physical standard is not what they need to meet. It's a mental standard you must meet in life. So going back to when I was sick, I was hitting the physical standards. I wasn't meeting the mental standard. The mental standard is you must know how far you've come.
Wow.
I had come 8,000 miles from where I started. But if you never know that, you're still in a $7 a month place. When I was sick, I was able to slow it down and reflect back on my entire life. And in that bed, and I thought I was dying, because that story is long, that sick portion of my life is long, maybe my story will give someone the 2 minutes and 13 seconds they need to change their life. Millions of people live in a very comfortable place. That's fine. Don't listen to me. A lot of people are looking for that 2 minutes and 13 seconds. And I might be that person. That's why I start sharing it. What's the point? Like, we all have a story. And I believe that we're all teachers. We're all teachers. And if you don't learn something and give back, like what you learned.
Yeah.
What's the point of living?
You're wasting.
Yeah, you're wasting. You have all this knowledge of what you learned. Some people may think you're crazy. Some people may put a title on you, but it's those few people who are like, you know what, I need to hear that. Mm-hmm. So you have to put yourself out there. But when I started getting these emails from people saying, hey, you know what, you changed my life. That part changed my life. That part of your story changed my life. And because I have so many different parts of my life that so many people resonate with different spots. Maybe it's the obese part. Maybe it's the bullying part. Maybe it's the learning disability part. Maybe it's the abusive parent part. Whatever it may be.
Right.
So many people draw from my story, and I started getting these emails. And I was like, God, man, and I'm a big believer in something more powerful than me. I don't know what it is, but I'm not the end all. So I was like, I gotta start doing more. If I'm touching these people's lives,
A few people here and there.
right, maybe I need to go out here and do some more. The hardest obstacle was myself. I started realizing more and more and more that all these people were gone. What was haunting me was me. I can't control my dad. I can't control the people calling me. I can't control all these things, but they were things that kept me down. It started becoming my reality. My reality was what they made it out to be. And I became the most important conversation you'll ever have with your life, in your life is when you have yourself. And my conversation was absolutely horrifying.
What were you saying to yourself?
I'm dumb. I'm nobody. My dad was great in mental warfare. A drunk, insecure man will make everybody around him feel like hell.
Yeah.
Because he wants to give you no power. And that's why he was so mean to my mom and myself and my brother, because he didn't want anybody to get above him. He wanted to keep you down low. So when you're growing up with all of this stuff, all this hate, and it wasn't the beatings. I could take the beatings all day. It was the mental torture. So when at a young age, your parents put a dialogue in you of confidence or you're nobody. So that voice in my head was, I'm a loser. And then it was confirmed when I got in school, and in third grade, I was falling behind. They want to put me in a special school. Yeah. With kids who can't learn.
Right.
Then it was confirmed what my dad was saying. So that confirmed it. Then I started cheating. So I started realizing, I'm taking the easy way out again.
Yeah.
And it started snowballing from there. Now the kids are calling me nigger. But it wasn't all the kids. So what happens is you start to get this picture that everybody hates you. Because your reality becomes so big that you can't see the clear picture.
It might have been 3 or 4
That's
kids
it.
doing it over and over.
Right, but it was the whole town.
Yeah.
Everybody hated me. So
The world hates me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's when it became toxic. And that is where I became my worst enemy. So I didn't want to
The
bother
last
her.
thing on her mind.
Yeah.
She's like, I've dealt with this my whole life.
Right. I didn't want to bother with anything, man. So I kept everything away from her. So I'm in the car wash trying to scrub this stuff off, and I got home, and so happens 2 weeks later she gets a note from school. And the note says, your son is going to fail. He's not going to graduate. And she's like, what is this? And I had to come clean with my mom of all the years of me cheating, of all the bullying, of all this and all that. She was in a dark place, and I was in a dark place, and we were kind of on our own in the same house, but living different lives. And I realized at this time in my life, she was a great mom, but I was on my own. And that's when a real big change happened for me. So I said, I'm going to join the military.
This is 6, 17.
17, 8, I wanted to go into the delayed entry program. And I went to take the ASVAB test, and I cheated. So
that's what you knew.
That's what I did.
You're good.
So I got my friend, because I walked into the recruiter's office, and the recruiter says, hey, you got to take this ASVAB test. Second I heard test, I was like, man, hang on a second.
I can't test this in my life, man.
I'm going to go. Yeah. Can I come back tomorrow?
Yeah.
So I come back, and the recruiter starts handing these tests out. And I'm like, great, I'm going to sit with my boy. I'm going to copy off my boy. He had a different test than I did.
Ooh.
So I couldn't copy off him.
Yeah.
And that's when the light bulb hit on. So I failed this test several times.
You failed twice?
I failed it twice. I actually failed it. I failed it twice. And the third time, I said, Mom, I need help.
Wow.
And she said, we're don't have much money, but we can afford a tutor for 1 hour a week for 6 months, because this is my last time taking the test. And so I had to learn. So I had a 3rd grade reading level. I'm a junior in high school.
Yeah.
So I had 6 months to learn all this stuff. And I only had a tutor for 1 hour a week. So basically what happened was she would come in for an hour and I wasn't picking it up. Any of it. I couldn't retain anything.
Yeah.
And it was so much to learn. It overwhelmed me. So basically what happened was I realized I had to go by the store and buy spiral notebooks. And I had to literally write down every single thing repeatedly. Like, so what may take you an hour to learn, it took me hours, 6, 8, 9, 10 hours. I had to write the same thing down. Simple stuff.
I hear you, man.
So I started memorizing. Yeah.
That's my life.
So I had to memorize.
Yeah.
So I didn't really learn it. I could just recall it from writing it down so many times that on page 71, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And that's how I did it. And I ended up passing that test.
Crazy.
And I got in the military, so.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What was the greatest lesson your mom taught you growing up?
Honestly, the greatest lesson she ever taught me is a lesson that she doesn't know how much she taught me, because she wasn't much in the teaching mode. My dad took her soul. But what I did as a young kid is I observed everybody. I wasn't really smart in the books, but I was real smart when it came to life.
Yeah.
And I was able to sit back and watch her mistakes. I was able to see how she struggled through life and how I don't want to struggle through life. And I was able to see she never picked me up. The biggest thing she did for me, and this is honest to God truth, and she doesn't even know she did it. When I would bust my ass, when I would fail, when I was at the bottom of the sewer, she never picked me up. She never gave me that cookie and said, hey son, it's gonna be okay. Yeah. She didn't have time for that. And sometimes she gets upset when I talk about my past because it paints her out to be not the best mom. If I had any kind of mom in that kind of environment, I would have never made it. Because she forced me, for every reason, she forced me to, you better figure this out or you're gonna be a statistic.
Wow.
And this is something that she didn't sit down and tell me. I realized this. This is the world that is in front of me. And what most people do is they see this world and they look at it as an excuse to get out of it.
Yeah.
I started looking at it as this is the ultimate training ground for the rest of my life. I have all these valuable lessons, because if you look out in the world right now today, it's not a nice place. But I'm very prepared for it.
Yeah, you are.
I'm prepared for it. I'm prepared for all the failure coming my way. I'm prepared for everything my way. And that's the biggest lesson that she taught me by not teaching me. By never saying it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, she told me the exact opposite. Life sucks. That's what she knew. And it was the truth. I didn't care if I died or lived.
Wow.
Because I was, for the first time in my life, happy and at peace. Because I reflected back on where I started.
You said, wow, I have come a long way.
That's right. And no one saved me. It wasn't like someone came down here and guided me through life. When you figure this out on your own, the amount of pride and dignity and self-respect you have. That's why I walk around the streets with a backpack and just like, I don't need anything else.
Yeah.
You figure it out by going inside yourself, by callousing over the victim's mentality. You're always a victim, even if you have everything in life, until you realize what you've achieved. You have to first realize what you've achieved. And my mom has accomplished so much in her life since my father. This is what I've done with my life. You have to be willing to really go to not surface. I don't live on the surface of anything.
Yeah.
Surface is what got me where I was at. It got me from 175 pounds to 300 pounds. Telling everybody I'm good. I don't give a damn. I'm good. No, they're hollow words. A lot of us speak in hollow words. I used to speak in hollow words. I don't do it anymore. Everything that comes out of my mouth has substance. It's real. And we all have these feelings in our bodies, in our minds, in our souls. I act on mine. A lot of us who are afraid of something, we allow our minds to choose the path of least resistance, so we go a different route. When I'm afraid of something, it's telling me you must conquer
this
that.
thing.
You must do that.
Yeah.
You have to go that way. And most of us don't understand that mentality. We go left and we wonder why we haven't fulfilled something in our lives. It's because we continue to take the journey that is mapped out. And how I look at it is I talk in life like a lot of us in life want to take the 4-lane highway that has road maps and all this other stuff on it, man. It tells you where to go, gas stations. The next 10 miles up, you can see a McDonald's or Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
It's the easy route. Very few of us want to go to the right side. Like for instance, I never thought in my wildest dreams I could be a Navy SEAL. It's until you open your mind, open-mindedness creates that. We all shut down our mind. Like for instance, when I broke the pull-up record, everybody around me who heard the pull-up record was 4,020 pull-ups. That's the first thing they did. Oh my God.
4,000 in 24 hours, or was
it's 4,020 pull-ups in 24-hour period.
Yeah.
The first thing I did versus closing my mind to like, oh my God, that's crazy. I went and got a pen
and say, how many is that every minute?
Exactly.
Every hour, every second.
Instead of taking life and making it out to be this grandiose thing, start breaking it down. Start breaking it down. There'd be no book.
Right.
There'd be no book.
Right.
There'd be nothing. So what people understand is that they live for themselves, not knowing that you have the power within yourself to change millions of lives by facing life, by facing yourself. And through that, I would die never knowing that I had the power to change millions of lives. And what haunts me the most, people ask me, what haunts you the most? What haunts me the most is that if I would have died at 300 pounds, let's say I was 75 years old, I got to heaven, and God has a chart like that on everybody's life. God knows all, let's say that. I don't care what you believe in, it doesn't matter. I'm not judging anybody. But let's say my thing is God. You get to heaven, I'm 300 pounds, I sit down, I was a cockroach terminator my whole life, and we're sitting down just like this, you're God and I'm David. And he gives me that chart, and he says, look at this. And I'm looking at this chart, and on the chart it has all these different things, but my name's on it. But these things aren't me. I was gonna change the world. I was gonna set records. I was gonna be a Navy SEAL. I was gonna be all these things in the military that I accomplished. You're gonna get the VFW award. You're gonna be honored here, honored there. And I'm like, God, this isn't me. Like it says David Goggins, I was an Ecolab guy. I sprayed for cockroaches, and I'm 300 pounds. It said here I'm 185. It says here I got a bachelor's and a master's. It says all these things. And God goes, no, that's who you were supposed to be.
Wow.
You want to reach the top 1%? Then stop acting like the 99%. Stop waking up late. Stop wasting time. Stop chasing dopamine. The 1% live different because they think different. They don't need motivation. They've built discipline. They don't scroll all day. They study, build, repeat. They don't chase weekends. They build systems that don't care what day it is. You want the 1% results? Start doing 1% things. Wake up early. Not because it's trendy, but because it gives you control. Train your body, not to look good, but to build mental strength. Read every day, not for entertainment, but for elevation. Write your goals, not once, but every day until your mind believes it. Kill distractions. Turn your phone into a tool, not a toy. Create before you consume. Work when it's boring. Work when you're tired. Work when no one's clapping. You want to beat the 99%? Then outwork their habits. Replace their scrolling with studying. Replace their complaining with problem solving. Replace their instant pleasure with long-term purpose. They chase what feels good. You chase what builds good. Your morning routine, your training, your habits, your edge, your circle, your environment, your self-talk, your fuel. Build a life where your discipline is louder than their excuses. Build routines that make greatness automatic. Schedule your time like your life depends on it, because it does. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. So build habits that scare mediocrity. Build a mindset that rejects average. The 1% aren't lucky, they're consistent. They aren't special, they're relentless. They aren't superhuman, they're just committed while others make excuses. So stop waiting, start acting. You want the 1% life, then build it with 99% discipline. Every hour, every rep, every decision, the choice is yours. And it starts now. So if you're serious about reaching that top 1% mindset, stop thinking like a follower. Stop acting like a spectator. Start leading by example. Start lifting those around you by rising yourself. Because the moment you shift your thinking, you begin to change everything.
You ever wonder why only a few people seem to control most of the success, wealth, and freedom in this world?
It's not just luck. It's not always talent. It's mindset. There's a clear line between the top 1% and the rest, and it starts in the way they think. The top 1% think different, while the 99% are chasing comfort. The 1% are chasing growth. The 99% look for shortcuts. The 1% build systems. The 99% want results fast. The 1% play the long game. The 99% complain about problems. The 1% solve them in silence. The 99% wait for motivation. The 1% show up regardless of emotion. The 99% want approval. The 1% want freedom. The 99% fear failure. The 1% study it, learn from it, and rise through it. The 99% watch Netflix. The 1% build the next one. The 99% scroll. The 1% study. The 99% seek fun. The 1% seek purpose. The 99% waste time. The 1% buy it back. The 99% chase dopamine. The 1% chase discipline. The 99% quit when it gets tough. The 1% get tougher. The 99% gossip. The 1% grind. The 99% break under pressure. The 1% become forged by it. The 99% want weekends off. The 1% build a life they don't need to escape from. The 99% dream. The 1% execute. You want to be top 1%? Then start thinking, acting, and living like them. Because the only difference is mindset. And mindset is a choice. So make yours. Today, the 99% mindset, it's reactive. It waits for things to happen. It complains about circumstances. It blames others, or the system, or bad luck. It seeks comfort. It avoids discomfort. It focuses on limitations, on scarcity. It asks, what if I fail? And then stops. It believes in quick fixes, in instant gratification. It sees problems and gets overwhelmed. It works just enough to get by. It fears judgment and plays it safe. It says, that's just how it is. But the top 1% mindset, it's proactive. It makes things happen. It takes radical responsibility for everything. It sees challenges as opportunities. It embraces discomfort. It seeks growth. It focuses on possibilities, on abundance. It asks, how can I make this work? And then acts. It understands that true success is built through consistent, hard work over time. It sees problems and finds solutions. It works relentlessly beyond what's expected. It welcomes criticism as feedback and uses it to improve. It says, I will make it happen.
Listen up! A lot of people talk about winning. They talk about the trophies, the rings, the championships. They see the highlights. They see the glory. But they don't see the work. They don't see the obsession. They don't see the mindset that separates the good from the great from the legendary. This isn't about talent alone. Talent is a starting point, sure, but it's not enough. Never enough. It's about the mindset, the Mamba mentality. It's about the relentless pursuit of perfection. Not perfection itself, because that's impossible, but the pursuit of it every single day. It means waking up before anyone else. When the city is still asleep, you're already working. When others are resting, you're pushing. When they're comfortable, you're uncomfortable. It means embracing the grind, loving the process, not just the outcome. The sweat, the pain, the exhaustion. That's where growth lives. It means being obsessed. Obsessed with your craft. Obsessed with getting better. Obsessed with understanding every angle, every detail. You don't just want it, you need it. It's in your DNA. It consumes you. And when you fail, because you will fail, everyone does, you don't dwell on it. You learn from it. You dissect it. And then you use it as fuel. You don't let it break you. You let it build you. Stronger, smarter, more determined. It's about fearlessness. Not being without fear, but acting despite it. Taking the last shot. Stepping up when everyone else shrinks.
It's about holding yourself to a higher standard than anyone else ever could, because you know what you're capable of. You know the work you've put in, and when you've put in that work, when you've outworked everyone, when you've faced every challenge head on, then, and only then, do you earn the right to be confident. It's not about being liked, it's about being respected. It's about being the best version of yourself every damn day. So when you step onto that court, or into that meeting, or face that challenge, remember the mindset, the relentless pursuit, the obsession, the fearlessness, the absolute commitment to being the best. That's how winners are made, not born. Made through the work, through the mindset. Now, go get it!
The pain of discipline today is temporary. The pain of regret tomorrow is permanent. The discomfort of sacrifice now is fleeting. The joy of achievement later is boundless. So today, I challenge you. Which path are you truly walking? Are you chasing the fleeting highs, or are you building a foundation for lasting greatness? It's time to make a conscious choice. It's time to prioritize your future self. It's time to embrace the discomfort of the short term for the undeniable rewards of the long term. You ever notice how life constantly puts you at a crossroads? One path feels good right now, the other feels hard, lonely, even unfair. But that's the battle between short-term pleasure and long-term gain. Short-term pleasure gives you a quick hit, a buzz, a distraction, an escape. It feels good in the moment, but leaves you empty later. Long-term gain? It hurts now. It asks for pain, sacrifice, delayed gratification, but it builds something real, something lasting. People chase pleasure like it's the answer, but all it gives them is regret. Regret for not starting, regret for not pushing harder, regret for choosing comfort over courage. And one day they wake up wondering why their life isn't where they wanted it to be.
You ever notice how life constantly puts you at a crossroads? One path feels good right now. The other feels hard, lonely, even unfair. But that's the battle between short-term pleasure and long-term gain. Short-term pleasure gives you a quick hit, a buzz, a distraction, an escape. It feels good in the moment, but leaves you empty later. Long-term gain? It hurts now. It asks for pain, sacrifice, delayed gratification. But it builds something real, something lasting. People chase pleasure like it's the answer, but all it gives them is regret. Regret for not starting, regret for not pushing harder, regret for choosing comfort over courage. And one day, they wake up wondering why their life isn't where they wanted it to be. Because here's the truth, nothing worth having comes easy. Freedom, wealth, strength, clarity, purpose. They all come with a price tag, and that price is paid now, in sweat, in silence, in struggle. Pleasure now or greatness later, that's the battle. Short-term pleasure feels good today, but it steals from your tomorrow. Scrolling, partying, sleeping in, junk food, hookups, they all hit quick, but they hit hard later. They give you a dopamine high and a purpose crash. They make you feel alive for a second and empty for a lifetime. But long-term gain? That's sacrifice. That's showing up when you're tired. That's grinding when no one's clapping. That's being broke now to be free later. That's being lonely because you chose purpose over popularity. That's being misunderstood because you chose growth over validation. Most people are addicted to comfort. That's why they never build anything that lasts. They chase ease and wonder why life feels hard. They avoid pain and live in regret. But the top 1%, they flip the script. They say no to pleasure now so they can say yes to freedom later. They're willing to be laughed at today, to be respected tomorrow. They're okay losing sleep to build something that outlives them. They don't chase the weekend, they chase legacy. You've got to pick your pain. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of sacrifice or the pain of staying stuck.